recording. Okay guys, it's recording now, and I will record here also. Okay, start recording. Good to go. So from start the work, right? What we said, I think we stop here, in the server. So I will just delete this and start back again, right? So let's say nodejs is used for creating all kind of things for your backend. Even you can create the whole desktop application using nodejs. I mean, you can create, let's say you have a restaurant, right, and you want to create the software for your restaurant, POS, the what you call that, the for ordering machine, right, whatever the customer service can use, right? So you can use nodejs to create the whole thing for your front end. Okay, I mean, there will be, you can communicate with your database. You're gonna have the nice UI. You can build that, and then you're gonna have the server, because you need server to communicate. A server is what? For communication, right? So normally we create server in nodejs by using HTTP. There is something called HTTP, right, module. Okay, so let's do that one. Const, I will just call it HTTP variable, and require, right, require. Okay, and we're gonna require what? HTTP module from the nodejs. So HTTP module is built-in module inside the nodejs. Now, right, once we have this so this is built-in module. We require that, and what we're going to do now, right, we're gonna build this. Okay, build the server. So the building server, see, if you console log this one, you're gonna get a lot of things inside, right? So let's see if this will give us something, because what I said, when you import any module, right, it comes with the things. I mean, this variable has everything inside now. Okay, so console.log, and we're gonna do HTTP, that variable. So I'm already in this nodejs server, this folder, right, already. So I can simply say node index.js. So I'll say node index.js, right, and enter. See, we get all this. This is the object, right? This is a big object now. Remember that there is so many things inside. I mean, this HTTP is a big object. Okay, and you're gonna, I mean, I'm scrolling, right? It's still moving up. Let's say, what is the first one? Okay, I mean, this is just big. Let me grab this and scroll up, if I can do that. No, so I have to just scroll my mouse. But just imagine this is a big object with a lot of functionality inside, right? There will be a lot of functions, there will be a lot of keywords and whatever, right? So out of that, we're gonna use something called create server, right? So const, we're gonna name our server. Okay, so let's call it my server, right? My server equal to, from HTTP module, right? Or we can call HTTP object. I need create server. I need a function called create. This is a function. Create server is a function. Okay, that is a function. See, HTTP is a big object. Inside the object, you're gonna have server. So let's imagine this, right? Something like this. Okay, there is an object, right? Just imagine this is an object, and this is a HTTP object. Just imagine that. So I can say const HTTP now, right, equal to, and inside here I have something called create server. So maybe there is a property called create server, right, like this, and then that is a function. So maybe that is just, it just has the arrow function. Just imagine that. Okay, and this function will give me what? It will create a server, right? So I can say return server, right, server. But I can just return maybe server string, right? This example. But of course this function has a lot of things inside built in, right? I'm just creating something simple. So I say HTTP dot create server. See, and because this is a function, right? So I can put this parenthesis here. So that's how it works. So that's why I said yesterday, right? You guys start visualizing. Okay, when you import anything, that might be a big function, or maybe that may be a object, or maybe a function, right? So if that is a function, that then you may have to do like a, let's say, const app, right, equal to http function, like that. And once you execute this function, then it will return the big object again inside the app, and now you can use app to create everything. So that's how it works. Okay, so I'm just trying to do the revision also a little bit from yesterday, because this confused for a lot of people, right? I was confused for many, almost for more than 2 years. Okay, I did not understand that exactly what is happening, how we getting all these things. Okay, so that's why, I just feel everyone, not like me, but I'm sure, right, a lot of people has difficulty. So I just want to just clarify more details, right? Okay, so now the process we're going to remember what we have to do, right? Once you have this create server function, it will ask you the callback function. It need callback function. That is basically a handler function, right, which is going to handle the request. In the server, what happened, right? I'm going to explain after this. Okay, basically there will be a client who going to request something, or you're going to send something like request and response, right? So that is what's going to happen inside the server. So that is called handler function. Okay, and inside here you're going to have two parameters, request and response, right? And what we did yesterday, we say rest dot end, right, end, and you send something like a hello from server. That's simple enough. Okay, so you're just sending the response to the client. And who is client now? I will just tell you, just give me a second. But to run this server, right, we have to give the door in our computer, or even in the server, real server, right? There will be a port that is a door for your server to run, right? So we're gonna create a port now. So for that, you have just call your server, my server, and listen, right? Listen is a function now. So even this one has this is the object. It has many things inside, right? So the first one is listen function, and which is gonna take a port. Now port is a number, right? And then you're gonna again add listener, listener, right? Some kind of callback function as well. You can define if you want, right? So now let me give the port. So I will call it maybe 8000. You can give any number, 8001, 8002, 3000, 4000, whatever the port number, right? Because in our we have, this is just open, right? Our computer is just open to any port number. Okay, so you can give in this form, right, like 4000, 5000, 6000, 8001, like that. So this is kind of a door, right? Door for this server to communicate with the client. Okay, and you're gonna put maybe callback function here also, right? And this function will simply console log this one. So when the server is okay, right, it will just print hello. Okay, server is running, right? Server is running on port, we can just call it 8000, right? Simple enough. Even you can create this port outside, right? Sometimes this port will be created outside. Okay, so let's say you want to create port here, const port, right, equal to 8000, like that, and you're gonna call this here the variable name port. Okay, that is the port. The next one is environment variable, right? Normally all this constant, all these numbers or maybe keywords and your username, password, things like that will be stored in the environment variable outside of your program, right, which is not shared with the outer world. We don't want to share all that important things. Okay, so you're gonna create your environment variable. So we will check that during our API course, right? After the Express and MongoDB, we're gonna focus mostly on creating API. So in that part we're gonna look at all that. So that is the port, correct? Now even I can here, right, I can say, I just call that port here, okay? Simple enough, I can call that port. All right, so now everything looks fine. So let's run the server, right? Let's run this server. So I have to go down, okay, here, right? So I can say node index, right? Index and enter. So see, server is running on port 8000. See that port server. So SE, right? RBER. So save again. See the problem here, right? If I make changes, it is not refreshing my code. Okay, I mean my server is not rerunning. That is the problem. I mean I have to just cancel this again, right? And I run again. Node index.js, or maybe just index, right? And now server is running on port 8000. Okay, so server is running fine, everything is okay. Now that's it, you created the server, right? Okay, so this server, when you call, let me see, client, I'm the client, right? This browser, I'm the client, or maybe this browser is the client now, right? This browser is the client, and the client is going to request something. Okay, so I can say localhost 8000. 8000 is my port, right? 8000. Okay, simple enough. And enter, right? See, hello from server. I get this message, hello from server. Okay, clear? And if I have a route, right, the path, okay, I have another path, maybe call it about path, and enter, right? It's still the same thing. If I have contact, it's still the same thing, right? Same thing, it's just not changing, because in my server I don't have path for all this file, right? Contact, or maybe about, or any other path I don't have right now. I just have the local root path, that is the root, right? Root path. Okay, so localhost 8000 is the root path, basically URL, right? Root URL. And then now this slash is the path, right? So that slash is the root path, and after slash you're gonna add the whatever path you want to add, right? Like about or contact or something like that. Okay, so it's same like you have the main directory, right? Main folder, project folder, inside there is a subfolder like about, contact, or something like that, right? So main folders, and inside you go to the contact folder, maybe main folder, from you go to the maybe about folder, like that. Okay, and access the file there, right? So it's same process. So this is the client, the browser is a client make a request, localhost 8000, client make a request to 8000 port, right? Clear? I mean you can make a request. Let's say you do the google.com, right? Okay, www.google.com, something like that, simple. So you're gonna get this page, right? So you just make a request. Let's see what happened in the network, right? Go to the network. I'm going to refresh this, right? I'm just going to refresh this page. Okay, preserve log, let's check that one, and I'm going to refresh this page, and see, this is going to make a network request. You just make a network request, right? So I don't see a lot of things here. Okay, let me clean this up, right? And when you refresh this page, okay, so there is something here. Okay, but how are we gonna check? I want to see something like a header and all that. So this font, I don't want that, right? I want everything all. Okay, so now let's make a refresh again, right? You see, these things, there is so many things running, right? That's the request. Okay, so there is a google.com. You're gonna find, maybe there is a font. Let's see. I mean, there are so many things coming up, right, in the network request. So fetch let's search. I want to show you something but I don't see here. Okay, anyway, I mean that's fine. We can talk about this tomorrow also. So let's go back to our work. So that is the request. Okay, the client request to the server and you get the result. Fine, that is the first step, right? So I want to have different route, right? Different, let's say I have a contact page, I have a maybe about page and all that. Okay, so how am I going to create the route, different route? So basically, right, whatever route you put in your browser, right now we're gonna do the manually, right? Let's say I put about, I need to read this about first, read this about, right? So how are I gonna do that? Here you're gonna say, let's put in the if condition, right? Or maybe we can use a switch, but let's keep it if request dot URL. Okay, there is something called the URL, right? And also we can request the method, you know, request dot method, right? See what is method also. Okay, method. So these are the property. This is also object, right? It has many things inside now. So there is a URL, you can get method and all that. Okay, so oh, there is a if, I cannot put like that, right? So what I'm gonna do, if requested URL, right, equal to, let's call it slash, like that. Okay, if that is the root path, right? So I'm gonna send the home page. Okay, so I can say this is home page, simple enough. Else if, we're gonna check again, right? Request.url is equal to like about, right? So this is a root slash is a root, and then after is about. Then we're gonna do, let's call it we just call it about page. Okay, simple enough. So here you can pass like HTML page and all that, right? So you have to get a file system, you know what we learned yesterday, right? FS system, and then get the index page, whatever page you want to read here. Okay, so this will be contact about page, now else if again, else if, right? Else if, so we're gonna have request dot URL and equal to, let's call it contact, right? And that will be contact page. So this is contact page. Okay, now else finally, right? Let's say we're done with all the route, we just say response dot in, and we can call it 404 page not found, right? Page not found. Okay, so yeah, so that is enough to test our routes. So let's go back. So this is hello from server, right? Okay, so when you make change here, we must restart our server. Yeah, so to solve this problem, right, remember we installed the nodejs yesterday. Nodejs we have in our nodejs npm install nodejs, right? So how are we going to use this nodejs? The nodejs package, right, or this module, or we can call library, whatever, right? This software is going to help us to refresh our server in case of any changes. Okay, you just have to add here, right? We say we can call it start. Let's call it start, our command. In our React project, you know, you say npm start, right? So you're gonna have start command in your script, or maybe npm run dev, like that. Okay, so we can call nodejs, but there is no nodejs, right? The server does itself, the system does itself in the React project. Okay, so nodejs, and then we call our index. Index is the root, right? That's the file which run first, so we just call that one, because our server is inside the index right now. So You can call it index.js or just keep it index, that will be fine. So this is the object, you must separate with comma. Yeah, save now. Now I just have to do npm start one time, because this is the command start. So npm start, and it will run our server. Look at that, it's just running now, right? It's just running. So if I make any change, right, look, just keep watching here. I'm gonna, in the contact page, right, this is contact page for contacting us, and save this. And we see the server run already. I mean, it was in the downside below, right? See, I will just delete this again and save. See, it just run, right? It just run. Okay, so just remember, I don't have to rerun the server again, it's just gonna refresh. So that will help us quickly navigate through now, right? Here, refresh. This is the home page. Look at here, this is the home page. Can I make it a little big? 200%. Yeah, okay. So this is home page, right? And I will add about. So now it will change to, this is about page. If I have contact, right? So this is contact page for contacting us, right? And if I put something, maybe let's say, anything, right? Whatever route, enter, and 404 page not found, right? Okay, so that's how you create routes basically in node.js, right? So remember, this is just a simple route we added for a couple of pages, right? Let's try to understand one thing, the difficulties in the node.js, right, and why it is recommended to use Express. Let's go back here also. Let's talk about little bit, just talk, right? So let's do that. So in Excel, yeah, what is this? Can I delete all this? So let's say, so you have a user, right? Just imagine you have a user. Normally in software, in our backend, what you gonna do, right? If you are creating a blog, correct? If you are creating a blog, what you gonna do? Blog, right? So blog can have the login system, like people can log in and create a blog, maybe, or even you as an admin, you want to log into your dashboard and you want to create blog, right? Maybe somebody can register there and comment to your blog, something like that, right? You can do that. So let's say user, there might be a user, right? Users, okay? So users can have what? When you're creating a user system, right, you're gonna have login system for login, right? Log out. I mean, these are the functionality you're gonna add, okay? Log out. So for any user, what you need, right? You're gonna need maybe, let's say, name. That will be stored in the database, right? Name, email, password, right? Something like that. You're gonna store in database. And when they logged in, right? When you log in, you're gonna make sure that email and password matches, right? Matches to your database. So after you allow him to log in, and then they have access to do something, right? Maybe commenting or creating blog or whatever. Okay, so same thing, you're gonna have a database for your blog, right? Also, okay, so if there is a user, if you're creating a user, right, what are the functionality you want to add for your user? Just what are the things you want to do, right? So user can let's say in your dashboard, maybe, right, you want to get all user. So let's say you want to get all users, list of users you want to see, get all users, you want to do that, right? Maybe as an admin, okay? You might need single user, right? You're gonna need maybe what else? Let's say you want to add new user, okay? what else you can do? You're gonna update user. Maybe somebody want to update the profile, something, update user. Okay, maybe you want to so update, and then you want to delete also, right? So you want to delete somebody also. Okay, so see, you getting all user, you single user, creating a new user, updating a user, delete user. So for all this work, right, for one use in one project you have user, let's say user database. Now you want to add all this functionality. So doing all this in nodejs takes a lot of code, right? You have to keep writing. I mean, this will be so much messed up, you know. This is just a page, but for again you have to write for user, maybe for the post, and for every user you're gonna have the method, right? There is a method in creating APIs. Okay, so there will be like a getting all user. You might have the get method, you know. Getting single user also, you might have the get method again. Adding new user, you're gonna have post method. Adding new user, right, you're gonna have post method. So these are the verbs in our nodejs, right? And these are the just function we call HTTP verbs. Okay, so these are the functions which are used to add something, get something, update will be put, you can call it put to update, and then delete, right? These are just the method or function to handle all this functionality. So you have to write routes for all this, then you have to write function for all this, callback function, or you can call controller, you know, or handler. Then you're gonna create database, the model for all this. I mean, there will be one model, right? When you're creating or getting, there will be one model for user, one model for post, and they will be linked. Sometimes who creates which post and all that, right? So there's a lot of code. Okay, so that's why it is said, right, to use express. I mean, express will just simplify this. One more thing, okay, express will also use same HTTP method, right? This HTTP method or module, but behind the scene, all this work, right, all this work will be handled by what you call that, express easily. Means you're not going to see all these things, right? Express give you the set of rules to follow and create your server, right? And the rest of the work will be done exactly behind the scene. You're not going to see, but it will be done, right? So there are set of rules. I mean, the maximum you're going to do what, get all user, get single user, you're going to post. So you have the HTML form. Let's say you have form right here. You know, you just want to in name, username, password, whatever, right? And then you submit the button, submit button. So this data will be when you submit the button, right? So there will be, when you submit, there will be a link. Okay, that link will be post, method will be post. So that means that this data will be added to this database. Okay, you want to get something from the database, that is put and then update. This will just get an update, right? And this is just delete. And this get, maybe there will be get all, get single user, get by email, get by something. So we will check all this, right, how we get things when we learn MongoDB, but also in the express during our API creation. Okay, when we create API, we're going to learn a little bit of express, and then after we're going to look at the API, and then we focus there, right? All these things we're going to focus there to master it. Okay, because every project you're going to have API, so you're going to do the same thing over and over, right, all the time, just a different little bit in a different projects for different thing, right? So that will be the different. Okay, so now the client, who is client now? The browser, right? Browser will be client who going to request something to the server. So you have a server here, let's say server, right? You can write here you have server, this will be client, right? So the client is the browser. So the client requests something to the server. So it depends what kind of request is that. If that is just get request, right, get means you just want to get something. So if there is a link www, or right now we do localhost 8000, right, so it will go to our local server, and it will give us, because our server has port 8000, so it knows where to go, right. So in that port it will find, and it will just return the whatever the request is. If that is post, later we're gonna learn about post also, right, but not now, because post need to have the, like you need a data, you want to send all that, so we're gonna just look at during our API. Okay, and yeah, so just getting and posting, right, like requesting and sending something. Okay, so when you request, client request, the server will look at that and then send the result back to the client. So that's how it works, right. And then later you can have database also, database, correct, database. So you're going to request something to the server. If that is database, the server will go here and get some back, and that will be sent back to the client again, right. So all this process happen, and just remember this method, right, get, post, put and delete, means getting, posting, updating and deleting. Same like CRUD, I think you have heard the CRUD, right, create, read, update, delete. So C, create, read, update and delete. So create is basically post, that is C, right, post C. Read will be this get, right, that is read, and update will be put, that is update. Okay, and delete will be delete, right, that is D. So that is CRUD. So in some system you're gonna heard about CRUD. In the REST API we use this, right, get, post, put, delete. Okay, so that is done. So what else, right? Now let's talk about the URL, right, URL. So if I go here, right, and search maybe JavaScript, okay, JavaScript, right. So this URL, did I close that? Okay, fine, let's go back here, right, and in the bottom of this file I just added one link here. Yeah, so URL description, right. What is URL now? Uniform resource locator, right, locator. A uniform resource locator, URL, otherwise known as universal resource locator, is the address of the resource on the internet and the protocol used to access it, right. So it has everything to access the resource. Okay, so if you just open this file, right, and it has, I mean, this is from the Hostinger tutorial. I just get this link, right, so you can read through here. I just want to quickly explain something in the diagram, right. Here is a diagram. So look at this diagram. Okay, so in HTTPS, right, there is HTTP. The old, before, long back, was HTTP only. Okay, so that is protocol, that is called protocol, right. So hypertext transfer protocol, and S is SSL certificate, right, means more secure, the transaction will be more secure. So nowadays, right, if your web hosting is not with S on the front here, right, then most of the site will block. I mean, the Google or maybe other browser will just try to block, right. It does not allow to, it's just kind of like a fake site or something, fraud site, but with this certificate, S is more secure site. Okay, so that is a protocol, that's the protocol. WW is what? Subdomain, right, subdomain. And domain name, the name of your website, right, that is this, in this case hostinger.com, that is a domain name. So what is domain name, right? See, every site has an IP address. Every site has what? IP address. And IP address is a number, right, and it's difficult to remember that. So what they came with the name. Okay, the name is easy to remember, right. So in place of IP address they just put this name. Okay, so up to here is the your protocol, subdomain and domain, right, that's it. Now that domain means your root route, right, up to here is a root route. Basically slash is a root route. The main folder of your project, right? Let's say you access to the index page. Okay, now inside your project you have tutorials, maybe you have different folders now, right? The different path, that is path or page, right? Path or page. So sometimes you have a dynamic path also. Let's say this project, this folder maybe have like a you query data, right, with the number. Maybe I want information 1, information 2, something like let's say fake API also, right? So even here, so this is the site HTTP protocol, that is the domain, this is the domain, right, of your this site, and that's the product page, means you just enter the product page, right? Now you can filter out again by number. You want to filter out, so I want to add 2, right? 2. Okay, so I'm getting just that data now. See that? So exactly same thing happened, right? We when we're gonna build the API, we're gonna build something like this. So let's say you have a user, right? For example, if there will be user, then you want to get user with ID, maybe user with email, something like that. You can build the route, right? Route. So all these things we build in our Express. Okay, so just give a reading one time quickly, right? What is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS? What else here? Subdomain and domain name, extension, right? That is extension, just for information, right? Just keep in mind. Okay, so that is one thing I want to say. And yeah, so you guys can, what you can do now, right? Just practice this. I don't know if we can add the Express, or maybe we add tomorrow, right? Express. Okay, so just practice this server, create this server, try to run in your local host. You know, just look at that, right? And tomorrow we're gonna look at the Express. Okay, we're gonna go Express, and then we're gonna talk about the REST API also tomorrow. Express and REST API. So REST API we're gonna go basic tomorrow, and then next day we're gonna maybe build one project. But before we build project, right, I think it's better to finish the MongoDB also, and then then we're gonna have full fledged, right? Like you build everything, connect to the database also, and then you add data, get data, and all that, right? Okay, one more thing you guys can do, right? I will Postman. Okay, just install Postman in your computer. Okay, this Postman, right? Because we're gonna use this for testing our API. So you can download, right? If you go back here, let's say, where is the download? I mean, right now we don't need, but tomorrow or maybe day after tomorrow, right, we're gonna need that. So I will just show you what I mean, right? Just give me a second. So should have, let me log in, but I already have a download, right? So no, where is the download? Okay, here, right? So you just go to the get started with free or something here, and then you're gonna reach here. So if you're is a window, right, just download this and then install. So I still have the server running in my page right here, so I'll show you now. So when we create API, we don't directly send live, right? First we test our API, and then we start building the front end. Okay, so what I mean is here I have a Postman, and right now I can only do get, right? I cannot do the post and all that. So let's look at the get in our okay, cancel. I don't need all this right now. This is all my work from before. Okay, man. Okay, let's cancel, right? Cancel. So what I will do, I'll just create new file here, basically new, right? And no need. So see all this method, get, post, put, patch, delete, right? So get means getting something. So I will say localhost because my server is running, right, 8000 port. Okay, what happened? So local host 8000, right, and I will say send now. So I'm just sending the request. Just imagine I'm in the browser, right? I'm sending the I'm getting something from this route. Send, and see, this is the home page, right? It gives me already something. Now I can say contact, right? Contact, send. See, it just give me the contact page now, right? So when we create a route, you're gonna have all this method we're gonna create for get, post, put, pass. Tomorrow you're gonna see in Express, okay? And then you can change, let's say posting, right? You want to post data, so you're gonna call the route, the post route, right? And then maybe you can send the data from here. So yeah, you can send raw data, right? We can just send the text or maybe JSON file you're gonna send. So you write the data, right, and then you send it, and that should be, that will just send. If you have the already connected to your database, you can send directly to the database also from here, and from database you can get here also, right? So we just test the whole API we using this postman, okay? And then once the test pass, you can connect to your start you creating your front end. So just install that. I will send you the link, postman, in your computer. Okay guys, I will just stop here now.